All right. Hello, everyone. Mayong adlaw sa tanan. My name is Noreen Bautista. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Panublix. How is everyone doing? I see so many people in different parts of the country, no? So I'm calling from Iloilo City. I am an Ilongga. May mga Ilongga dara. I see also people are coming in from Aklan, Negros. Actually, there are a lot of Ilonggos in this room. So sa mga Ilonggo dara, maayong hapon sa inyo tanan. I also see the people up north, the roots. Half of my family is actually from Ilocos. So unfortunately, I'm still learning how to speak my father's language. But magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, wherever you're calling from. Welcome to our very first Craft Jam. This is actually also one of, if not the first event that Panublix has, no? And we're so blessed that we're partnering with the Philippine Fashion Coalition. This has been an event that we've been working or organizing for many months. Right now, we have guests from the Philippine Fashion Coalition. And for those who don't know, it's really a group that it's the industry group actually of the Philippine fashion industry. And this is not just designers, it's also professors, people in the academe, and people like us who are really passionate about reviving our textile heritage and our fashion heritage. So if hindi nyo po alam, yung Iloilo po kasi ay ito po yung textile capital of the Philippines noong araw. By the way, if anyone in the room is from abroad or doesn't understand Filipino, or I can speak in a mix of both, but hopefully makakaintindi po tayo lahat. Panublix actually comes from the Hiligaynon word panublion, which means heritage. And ako kasi laking Iloilo ako, it has always been my advocacy to promote our textile heritage. Kaya po Panublix yung pangalan. And I also have my co-founders here in the room and my teammates as well. So I see Ria San Gabriel. She's my co-founder at Panublix. She's in charge of partnerships. We also have Nicole Morfe in the room. She is our marketing associate. And actually, all of us in Team Panublix are so passionate about just promoting our tropical fabrics, no? But again, this is a collaboration between the Philippine Fashion Coalition, and I'm actually not the host for today. When we started Panublix, we just got so much love and interest and support from the weaving, crocheting community, and I'm so happy that we have with us actually our host. She has been one of the very first customers for our Panublix crochet yarn, which is actually made out of the Philippine tropical yarns. And she herself is a crochet artist, even an influencer in the space, right? And I'd love to let her give her introduction and why she's part of this. So without further ado, please welcome our host for this craft jam, Carmela Gonzalez, or Mela. She is the creative force behind Reclamare.ph. So hi Mela, you can take it
Hi
over.
Noreen, thank you. So hello, oh my gosh, there's like so many familiar names already that I'm seeing in the audience. Hi Jade. Also, I just want to thank everybody for coming to the Craft Jam today. I'm super passionate about Philippine textiles, and I'm really excited to learn more about it today. And I'm hoping you guys are also so excited to learn about it today too. So first, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. We have Michael Claparols, who is the founder of Creative Definitions, which is dedicated to providing world-class fragrance products in the local market. continuously striving to innovate and open more opportunities for its producers. He is also the head of the textile, arts, and crafts sector of the Philippine Fashion Coalition. So hi, Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone, and mayong hapon. Nimbag na malem to our Ilocano brothers and sisters. So, good afternoon, everyone.
So our next speaker is Ceryl Tubungan, who is a crocheter and a hobbyist. She turned her passion into a business and opened up the Attic Garden Craftery in 2016, which is a craft shop and a yarn shop that offers a wide range of yarn, and it inspires crafters nationwide. Hi, Ceryl.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Okay. So everybody just sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'm going to call on Sir Mike for his presentation.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here basically to talk about the Philippine tropical fabrics, which to give everyone a background and also a bit of a journey of our company, including the Lakat sustainable sneakers, which recently we just launched. All this actually is all tied up from the very beginning, from the development of the Philippine tropical fabrics. So of course, the journey wasn't that easy. It took some time, but it was rather exciting. And hopefully my presentation would also inspire the crochet artisans here. And for those, of course, who are just interested to listen, that, we have a big future here when it comes to the Philippine tropical fabrics. Okay, can you see the presentation? Sorry. Okay, let me begin.
Okay, Sir Mike, just stop sharing a bit.
Yeah. Okay. It's not showing, no? Hold on. I cut off it. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now.
There was a pause. Okay. All right. Just to give everyone a background. Okay, what is the Philippine tropical fabrics? Okay, this was first coined in the RA 9242 bill, which was enacted in 2004. Okay, what is RA 9242? Believe it or not, during the time, Senator Lauren Regarda actually passed this law, which basically prescribed all government agencies should be, it prescribed employees in government to wear fabrics that are made out of natural fibers that are grown here in the Philippines. So if you look at the screen, it's defined as anything fabrics that contain natural fibers produced, spun, woven, or even knitted. So I'd say safe to say even the ones that's crocheted can be part of this journey. So the use of the tropical fabrics was prescribed primarily that all government agencies should wear this, of course, to promote the industry, at the same time to jumpstart the textile industry. So one of the key provisions there that at least the fabric should contain at least 5% of the natural fibers. If you look at the left side of your screen, either made out of abaca, banana, or pineapple. But I heard there's a new ruling right now that other fibers might be included also. Because I'll tell everyone, the Philippines were gifted with so many fibers, more than 30 of them. And the challenge is how really to make them wearable. And I'm proud to say that we have the technology through the DOST, Philippine Textile Research Institute. They have the technology basically to make that possible. So, okay, so it was enacted 2004, but way back, going back to the history, when was the first PTF created? So this one, I got a bit of history from the PTRI, and it was officially born in 1993. So imagine 10 years prior, they already had this sort of product. So, well, it took some time to develop, and I must say at this point, it has reached a certain level of maturity already, and it's ready for commercialization. So then in 2019, Director Cele Lumba more or less refocused the product because prior to 2019, there was still they were still using polyester blended with pineapple as the fibers. But 2019, it was decided by the agency that we'll go 100% natural. Well, for obvious reasons, we're dealing with sustainability here, so natural fibers would be a better alternative. So okay, the opportunities of PTF, okay, besides the RA 9242 law, it's more than that. And of course, there's so many meaningful and relevant uses for the fibers. But I think more than that, we're also supporting the fiber crop farmers. There are more than 150,000 of them here in the Philippines. So it's just, it's just a matter of rather, being supportive of the industry. But in the world market, and I'm happy to share this, is that the eco-fiber market was valued already at 40 billion. This was way back 2020, and it's projected to grow for at least 4% per year, assuming, of course, the pandemic situation gets normalized now. Then the sustainable footwear industry is already valued at 7.5 billion. So what I'm trying to say here is that the Philippines, we're in a very strong position to be a dominant player in this industry. So it's just a matter of putting things together. The private sector and entrepreneurs should be working hand in hand with the government, of course, to make this possible. And it has already started. It has become more of a movement right now as people become more aware of this thing with sustainability. Okay, so the whole idea of the PTF is really to create value from the fibers either through material innovation and product development. Okay, I will jump straight to our company. Why I have to share this journey, why the shift, because there was a big shift. 2008, our company basically started off as just a trading company. We were reselling Negros-based handicrafts here in Metro Manila. We were distributors. But in 2017, there was a big shift. And that big shift basically was to, well, when we started our collaboration with the weaving communities in Negros, primarily to improve their livelihood and create more impact in the countryside. So this is our long-term vision that we're an enviro-social enterprise co-creating, co-producing sustainable textile solutions made from locally grown fibers in partnership with artisans. I have to stress that because I'm not doing this alone. We have artisans that we are in partnership with, and we have other stakeholders and partners. Panublix is one of them. And the values, of course, all our values, the values right now that we're trying to inculcate in our company is, of course, underscore the UN sustainability goals. So the first one, of course, that deals with human rights of all our workers and in the whole value chain, and the use of natural materials. And we make sure also that we practice fair trade and innovation. Definitely, it's part of our blood, and that's why I'm here talking to you, because the PTF involves a lot of innovation, not only in terms of the raw material, the conversion of the raw material, but what it involves in the conversion. And the fifth and very important aspect, which we hold dearly, is the collaboration, because we're all here as we're just one of several spokes in a big wheel to make that work. Each spoke, each actor or stakeholder has a role to make it happen. And right now, in the audience, you're already part of this journey, because number one, you'll be practicing. At the same time, you'll be telling people around about the story. So it's quite important. You have a big role to make this thing happen. And lastly, for me, the dream here is that not only we can come up with exciting, innovative products, but my dream is really to bring back the value-added processes back here in the Philippines to benefit the Filipinos. Because the situation is always that our raw materials are brought abroad, It's converted there, and then it goes back here very expensive. I want, my dream is for us all to change the level playing field and to make it more beneficial for the locals. So, okay, great definitions. Okay, we've been producing basically yarns and fabrics based on the pineapple leaf fiber, and we've been doing it since 2020. And most of the conversion and the treatment is done here in Taguig in the facility with the Philippine Textile Research Institute. But recently, I've also started collaborating with Panublix to supply some of the yarns for our requirements. And the latest innovation, I must say, if you look at the rightmost corner, there is a non-woven fabric that's made out of 100% pineapple fibers, which we're gonna be using in our sneakers, which I'll explain later. So all this has been enabled by PTRI technologies. And this is just an example. I want to show you that these are some of the fabrics that we've already created. These are all the white, especially the white ones, are all hand woven by our communities of weavers, and it's made out of pineapple, blended pineapple yarns. So we're in partnership. We are in partnership with several of the designers. So okay, just to make clear that our journey didn't start off just, all of a sudden we disappeared. No, it took some processing and some collaborations, of course. The first important event was that we started our partnership in 2017 with several weaving communities in Negros. If you look at the picture on the left side, that's my wife and with the weavers, and that's Father Gore, who takes care of the community. Then on the upper right side, our awareness on sustainable materials and the footwear we realized this when we attended the Asia Pacific Leather Fair in Hong Kong. This was 2017. And another important milestone is Tech Meets Traditions. Okay, 2017, I must say, was also the start of our dating process with the PTRI. I call it dating because it took several years until we concretized matters. So 2017, we met with them really, and we had meeting of minds. But by 2020, we started producing already the PTF, on that side. So this is another fair which we just attended last March, 2022 in Dubai. We were the sole Philippine company in this event, and basically we presented not only the Philippine tropical yarns and fabrics, but also the Lakat sustainable shoes, which I'll explain in a moment. Okay, everyone might be asking why I'm using pineapple base, because I know Panublix does cotton, also does abaca blended. I'm using pineapple because number one, the availability of materials is also there. I mean, after Costa Rica, the Philippines is the largest producers, and a lot of the pineapple leaf fibers are normally thrown after each harvest. And normally they're either burned, which of course can emit harmful emissions. And, so there was an opportunity definitely. And so we thought, okay, let's use this because of the abundance of the material. At the same time, we're also looking at giving additional income to the farmers. Okay, I'll go straight to where the meat is right now. So the Lakat Sustainable Shoes was basically launched November 2021. And so it's a conscious sneaker brand dedicated to promoting the use of eco-friendly and ethically sourced materials. Okay, you might be asking why Lakat, no? So, okay, as what Noreen mentioned earlier, I'm also Ilonggo. I'm from Negros, although my mother's from Iloilo. So it's actually our word for Lakat, or to go or to walk. No, so that's basically the story behind it. So we've been okay. So let me just explain a bit of the anatomy. So if you look at the illustration, the uppers basically are made of the blended pineapple cotton yarn, and it's hand woven by our partner weaving community in Kabangkalan, Negros Occidental. It's and the shoelaces are also made out of the same material, pineapple cotton blend. So here, this is an example of the farm that we help support. So all come from Negros. And of course, the whole idea is to provide additional income for the farmers. So what's important here also is that how we extract the fibers, because, well, there's such a thing as the decorticating machine. And believe it or not, it's actually, it's run in solar power. So the whole idea there is to lower the carbon footprint. And we hope to replicate this in the future. So, okay, after the extraction process of the raw pineapple fibers, it goes through a pretreatment system. Okay, the pretreatment is, well, call it more like a chemistry and the physics process. So, you know, we prepare the fibers. If you look at the left side, there's such a thing as preparation of the fiber before we degum. Okay, why do we degum? Because most fibers contain starch around it. And that's what makes it unwearable. So by degumming it, we're actually cleaning the fibers to make it wearable. So it goes through the hydro extraction, which eliminates the excess water and the waste. Then, of course, it goes through a drying process. Then it becomes cottonized. So at this state, when it's cottonized, then it's ready to be blended with the cotton. So the whole idea there is to soften it up, because if you notice, pineapple fibers is a bit stiff. So this technology basically softens it for mixing. So after the pretreatment, of course, it goes through the spinning process. That's me over there in the blow room here. This is basically to prepare it ready to produce the slivers and before becomes the yarns. No? And okay, here's another illustration, the RYPIC. This by the way, is a photo. The photo I'm showing is the RYPIC in Panublix, and maybe Noreen, you can say something about RYPIC briefly about what we're doing here.
Sure. So I now replaced my thing with the background. So the RYPIC is actually a DOST funded project, and this is based in Miagao, Iloilo. So from the city, it's around 2 to 3 hours away. Miagao is also where the UP Visayas campus is. But it's also inside the campus of the Iloilo Science and Technology University. So last year, Panublix signed a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Science and Technology's PTRI. So that's the Philippine Textile Research Institute, and to be like the marketing partner. So we're the ones who are making the yarns, connecting it to the market. So that's why when you go to our website, that's what you see. This facility was really made for the weaving, for weaving yarns. For the crocheters, this is also where the crochet yarns are being done, but it has to be spinned because it comes out in, you know, the single ply. So actually, you know, just to share, you know, having been part of this process, you can see that it merges art, culture, but there's also science and technology behind it. And that's why textiles is really such a holistic field. So Sir Mike and Creative Definitions, we also help facilitate the spinning of the cotton pinya. So it's really a RYPIC facility to help the weaving industry, the textile industry. And the plan is to have several of these RYPICs around the country to support more local economies for the textile industry. So, yeah.
Thank you, Noreen. So, so what Noreen said, the OSTPTR plans to have more RYPIC facilities. They're planning, well, I think right now they're in the process of installing the one there in Isabela up north. There's plans also for Davao. Then there's another plan for Negros, and I think another plan in Laguna. So it will be a series of facilities based on what the material availability is. No? So anyway, let me move forward. Okay, the insoles of our sneakers basically remember I mentioned to you about the non-woven fabric, which is made out of 100% pineapple fibers. And the beauty, the beauty here, it also has antimicrobial properties, which DOST said they'll do more studies on that. And of course, our rubber, for the outsoles, we farm it in Mindanao, primarily from Bukidnon and Basilan. And with the rubber outsoles, we mix it also with the excess fibers that come from the spinning facility, just to add up on the bulk. So, so basically, that's basically I'm giving you just an idea how we went through the process. It took several months. Actually, during the pandemic, we were just busy doing our training there in PTRI. And for our packaging, by the way, we're using eco bag that's also made out of pineapple fibers. And if you look at the carton, that's the design we preferred because it uses less paper. But in the future, that might be made out of pineapple fibers also. So these are value chain, as I mentioned. Cotton comes from Negros Oriental, the pineapple comes from Negros Occidental, the rubber from Mindanao. So it's really, it's really everywhere. And the pretreatment at the moment, I'm doing most of my pretreatment and spinning in Taguig. And of course, to a certain extent, Iloilo, and probably hopefully in the future in the Negros Island. So the whole idea really is to create more countryside development out there. And of course, the weaving communities we support right now are the ones from Kabangkalan, but we also have in Negros Oriental. Shoe assembly is basically done in San Mateo, Rizal here. So everyone thinks it's all Marikina, but believe me, there are shoemakers also in San Mateo. Quiet lang sila. So from the farm to the communities to the streets. That's basically our plan. So in terms of the our clients for our sneakers, well, it's everyday people, I mean, who enjoy fashion, who are into sustainability, and they just love the environment. So, okay, product development opportunities, as I mentioned, a lot of innovation takes place with our product. Of course, we're experimenting with new colors. This coming May, we're launching new colors for our collection. So we will have the blue, the gray, and the yellow. New materials at the moment, as we're just using pineapple, but we're also going to experiment with banana as a next step, and probably abaca. Then we also have a product design team to develop new shapes and new, of course, the new design. And the new technologies we're looking at using also biopolymers in the future. So when I talk about biopolymers, maybe even recycled clothes, wherein we can convert them back into yarns, especially cotton-based fabrics. We can basically break it down again and hopefully come up with usable yarns. So this is my last slide. Again, we're 100% Filipino product. All the materials are sourced locally. It's environment friendly, and what is more important here is that the impact that we're helping at least 263 families, mostly mga farmers, but we also have 14 weaving families. The shoe artisans are 12 employees, so that's basically 12 families that we're impacting. Factory workers basically are our technicians who are operating the pre-treatment and spinning facilities here in Taguig. And of course, management is between me and my wife and plus another staff. So basically that's our story. So, I have it's our own journey, but I expect all of you'll have your own journey. But what is important is that there's several factors what's important is that you have to collaborate. You cannot do it alone, but we are here to help each other out. And that's hopefully what I want to see. And everyone here to just be part of the journey. And thank you, everyone. And I hope you guys learned something today.
Thank you, Sir Mike, for your presentation on creative definitions and its journey through PTF. I think it's really interesting that everything is like 100% locally sourced. That makes the carbon footprint so low. It's so good for the environment, much better for the environment than sourcing things from abroad. It's also super good for, like you mentioned, the social impact, and I love it. I'm excited. I just have like a question that I was wondering during your presentation.
Yeah.
What is or are the biggest hurdles that the Philippine textile industry has to face during production? Like, for example, typhoons or
Oh yeah.
scrap have
Wow.
a role.
Well, I'll just cite you an example. The pandemic was so much a challenge for us, especially for our weavers. Well, we had to cut down production by almost half because the demand also went down. No? But you had to help support them. So during that time, we just kept on buying, even though the market was practically non-existent. So a bit of a sacrifice, but in the end, we made use of one of those fabrics. But being a social enterprise, because it's not only buying and selling. The relationship goes beyond that. So you have to consider the welfare of the community. And just like this last December, there was Typhoon Odette. 3 or 4 weavers lost their houses, so we had to help them rebuild it. So even in that stage, we had to be involved. So when each one of you who wants to become a social entrepreneur, you have to consider the social, political, and economic situation of whom you're working with, or which community whom you're partnering with. So that's one thing. Then in terms of the fair trader also, we're talking here about pricing. So normally before, the standard practice was that a trader would get handwoven materials, let's say in Negros or in Ilocos, Pacquiao style, okay, they'll weigh it per kilo and sige, yun lang. But in our case, we changed that practice into something more of a win-win situation. So we came up with a price structure wherein the weavers were also involved in the decision making. So it's based on the width, the complexity of the weave. So we wanted to get their feedback. So of course we had a cap, at least 100 pesos per meter should be the minimum. Then after that we go beyond whether we need to include any additions because it's more difficulty. It's more difficult, for example, to weave. So a lot of it, that's one. And then the hurdles. Wow, number one, the price of fuel right now is going up. So our logistics costs have also gone up a bit, almost 5%. So those things you have to be prepared. I mean, that's why you have to be adaptable also. Be ready to tell your clients, you have to be open to your customers that we need to have a bit of a price increase because the situation is just so difficult. And sometimes it's better just to be honest than making them bigla na bukas 20% increase. Hindi I mean, if you have a story, the story in terms of the adjustments have to go hand in hand with what you are in relation to your community. So I think you just have to be transparent. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, transparency is always good. Even us crocheters, we always whenever we try to sell things to our clients, we always try our best to be very personal with our audience.
Right.
I was also just curious because I saw that you showed the process for how the fibers get spun or woven into textile, and I was wondering, how do you perform tests on the textile to see if it's suitable for a specific use? And what are usually the qualities that you look for or aim to achieve during these product tests?
Well, the beauty of our relationship with the PTRI is that they also have a testing center. So I'll cite an example. The fabrics that we use for the Lakat shoes, we had them tested. I mean, in terms of the strength, the breaking point strength, and also the abrasion test, we have that sort of equipment and service to test all those parameters, which is important because with sneakers you're dealing with, if you're going to use it daily, that means expect more wear and tear. So the idea there is to lessen and to give more value to the customers, and we also explain to our customers that hey, our fabrics can withstand 10,000 robins, as they call it. So again, yes, it's important to test the quality of your fabric. Even our weave patterns, we have to develop our own weave patterns with our weavers because a lot of the regular weaves are just too loose to suit the product. So it might be different for the shoes, might be different for the bags, and for definitely very different for the wearables, because for wearables it has to be a bit thinner so it will be cooler. For the sneakers, it's thicker and tighter. So mga ganyan ba? So a lot of things. A lot of it is physics you have to consider.
Does anyone else have another question you'd like to ask Sir Mike before we
Please,
proceed?
yeah.
Oh, there.
Actually, I do. I guess at the beginning, you were working like with weavers, and I'm pretty sure na yung mga ways nyo, like sustainability and everything, like innovations, that's very forward. Did you ever work with traditional weavers? Was there any pushback into like your way of producing? And if that's the case, like how do you communicate these with the weavers, or how do you work around parang mga pushbacks on, let's say, maybe traditions or mga kasanayan?
I think for me the biggest pushback would be especially with some weaving communities in Iloilo. I won't mention because before I started with the Negros group, I also talked to one group in Iloilo and also one in Negros. And their issue was not to, we give them the color of the yarn, so we want it this way, but somehow they don't like the color that we're using. But sabi ko, yun ang gusto ng kliyente. So, so we have to explain to them the whole idea that customers have needs and wants, and it will create more value if we give them derivatives. Kasi before, when you talk about patajong, I'll be honest with you, when you talk about patajong, it's always just the yellow, green, and gold. Yeah, that was the common color. Even in Negros, my God, sabi ko, it's still red, yellow, green, gold here. No, I mean for the past 20 years. So little by little, we have to explain that sometimes we need more deviations, more. Well, in the trend, we have to. There's such a thing as a trend. We have to explain to them. And so that's one. And number two is that I think the biggest stumbling block initially was from shifting them from polyester to cotton. Kasi mas marupok yung let's face it, cotton or the natural yarns are a bit more breakable. So if they're used to using polyester, because it's 3 times stronger. But we tell them also the value is much higher when it's more natural. It's friendlier to the environment, and we can get a higher price. And we proved that. We paid them more, and somehow after 1 month they got to adjust. So a lot of it, I think you need to educate weavers about the market is changing, and people also would want something new. And I think that's part of our relationship. Part of our working relationship, that they have to understand that, because if not, it won't. We'll just tell them it won't be sold, and even the pricing, they demand this much price. I said it's not going to work because we need to price it this much. So we have to compromise, a win-win situation. So a lot of it is communication, and well, for added benefit, all our weavers in Negros, we had them trained also with PTRI to improve not only on their setup skills, but also to improve on the quality of the weaves. And that's a part of the journey. It's very important, communications.
Yeah, and maybe I could add, actually, this is actually the reason why Panublix has transitioned also in terms of our focus, and we align so much with the mission to really shift our weavers from using polyester to using our tropical yarns. Not only is it sustainable, it's also more sellable, because the sustainable fashion market, like the customers that we've been talking to are usually based in Europe, which is the biggest sustainable fashion market, and they basically banned polyester. So during the pandemic, kaya nahihirapan ibenta ng weavers dito sa Iloilo yung mga weaves nila, kasi made from polyester, they can't export it. But as Sir Mike said, it's super hard. It's challenging kasi sanay nga sila sa ano, 'di ba, polyester, and you kind of had to retrain them again to weave with the tropical yarns, which is ganun naman talaga yung ginagawa ng mga ancestors natin. It's really tropical fibers. So I think for those who have been hearing about Panublix when we first started, because we also started during the pandemic, at first we just really wanted to digitize the weavers and make them, you know, do business online. But we realized the sustainability is deeper than that. It's really, really changing the materials. And if I may add, that's why our team also decided we have to spotlight this emergency. It's not anymore theoretical for us that we are in a climate emergency. Because, you know, we just came from another typhoon here in Iloilo. Like, we survived the first typhoon, Agaton. But hindi pa naka-recover yung ibang communities namin sa Christmas typhoon, which was Odette. And I'm sure you know what's happening also in Siargao and Cebu. For us, these are the places where our artisan enterprises live. And for us, it's not a theory. It's what they feel every day. And that can be, you know, if all of us and the consumers who are supporting fashion and crochet, this is really a call for everyone because it will demand us to shift the way we live and our lifestyle choices. But that's why I'm also inspired by the designers. So and the brands like Lakat Sustainables and Creative Definitions, because you designers and brands, they're really paving the way. Kasi yun nga, like we're meeting brands and designers like Sir Mike and even Mela and Ali herself. And I see also a lot of familiar faces, names in the chat who are now really thinking, okay, how do we really think to build our brands na from day zero? It really is part of the circular economy. We eliminate waste. And I think if we get more creatives thinking like that, then we can do it. But yun nga, we can't do it alone. That's why we're very much into this collaboration. So thank you again for coming, everyone, and joining this conversation.
I think that is all for the Q&A for Sir Mike. Thank you again for your presentation. Let's move on.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's move on now to Ceryl. She will give her presentation naman on basic crochet. So yes, hello.
Hello, everyone. Well, just a heads up, the tutorial video is still rendering until now. So hopefully it will render after I finish talking about how I got to know Panublix. Well, as they had said, it was the start, they started during the pandemic. And as I was scrolling around Facebook or Instagram, I saw an ad about Panublix and I was like, oh, local yarn. And then right away we ordered. And then very friendly people. They emailed us. They said, your threads are on the way. And then when they arrived, I immediately messaged them that they're here. But we were very surprised kasi nga, well, weaving yarn kasi siya, so it's super thin. I have the original phones here, these two. I think these are cotton abaca and 100% cotton. Oops. And since these are for weaving and we have a yarn store, I'm from the Attic Yarn and Craftery. We wanted to know if they were planning to make any yarn since we wanted to make local, super duper local yarn available here in the Philippines. As in locally produced, locally processed, locally everything. And it's also sustainable. That's one thing also. And so after we received it, I emailed Panublix and I asked them if ever you're planning on making a thicker thread or for crochet yarn, we would be very interested in reselling them. And they said they were planning to. And after a few months, I think, they finally reached out and said that they were planning on flying as in uh, like joining the threads like this, making it thicker so it will become one yarn. And then we ordered, I think they sent it out, that was July last year. So our first contact was July last year. So late last year, they came out with the Panublix yarn. Oops. And then when we posted about it, a lot of people were interested. A lot of them were asking about colors. They wanted dyes. But of course, it's still starting. We don't have dyes yet, according to Miss Ceryl. Hopefully, colored yarns. And then when we started to market it, I think we have around, we've sold more than 100 cones already. Yes, we've sold more than 100, almost 150 cones already locally here. And a lot of people are interested. Sorry. A lot of people are interested in the colors, so hopefully we have the dyes next. Hopefully, but if it's not, that's fine as well, since there is a boom in crocheting now in the Philippines, especially now in the pandemic. Lots of crocheters have popped up. It became a business opportunity for a lot of Filipinos, and it became popular again. And so now we wanted to market something that's sustainable and affordable for people that are not only budget conscious, but also cares for the environment. And now for the crochet, I think we can start with the videos na po, Miss Noreen. It's just a small video that I pre-recorded for those who want to have an idea of what crochet is. Here's the video.
First, we need some yarn, a crochet hook, scissors, and yarn needles. How to hold your yarn and hook. For me, it goes over the pinky, under and over the index finger, and then I support it with my middle finger and thumb. There is no right or wrong way to hold these stuff, but do whichever is more comfortable for you. This is the pen hold, and this is the knife hold, which is what I use. The basics: slip knot. Put your finger under, pull, twist it, get the yarn above, and pull. Slip knot. Next is yarn over. You insert your hook, pull it tight, then you go from left, under, right until it's hooked. Chain. You yarn over and then you pull it through the loop. Again, yarn over, pull through. We count the stitches using the V's. This one has 13. Slip stitch. We skip one chain or V, insert to the next one, yarn over, pull through. Now we have 2 loops. We pull the second through the first one. Again, insert to the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 2 loops. Then we pull the second through the first one. Single crochet. We insert to the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 2 loops. This time we yarn over and then we pull through 2. Again, insert to the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Half double crochet, yarn over, insert to the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops. Then we yarn over and pull through all 3. Again, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. Double crochet. We yarn over again first, insert to the next stitch or chain, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops, but this time we yarn over and pull through 2 first. Now we have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2. Again, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. This is how they look: slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. How to fasten off. When you finish your project, simply chain 1, leave the hook, take your scissors, and cut your yarn. And then simply pull the hook away. This locks your project. And where to find them. Patterns and where to find them. There are physical books. You can find them online on Pinterest, Ravelry.com, YouTube, Etsy. There are also ones on Facebook, Instagram, and some designers also have their own websites. You should also join crochet and knit communities on Facebook and Ravelry.com. We have a lot of talented local designers and pattern makers. Make sure to support them. The pattern we're looking at today is the Rainbow Dip Bucket Hat by The Morning Hooker on Instagram. You can find it on her website. Just scroll down and click it. It's a free pattern. Having a printed copy of the pattern is also useful. Let's start with the materials. It's Panublix 100% Philippine cotton yarn. This one. And then Ashley's Crochet's Cozy Knots yarn. But we're not using that. We're only using Panublix yarn today. First up is a number 1 to number 2 weight yarn. which refers to yarn thickness. Here is a chart from the Craft Yarn Council which lists the guidelines for yarn thickness category. Panublix is a number 3 yarn weight, but it's thin enough for the project, so it's good. Next is a 3.5 mm crochet hook. This one. Next is a darning needle or yarn needle. There are plastic ones and metal ones. Last are scissors. Like I said, it's good to have a physical copy of the pattern. You can go over it fast, and it's good if you have a pen on hand so you can make notes. Or even mark your place. You can also note down any changes or tweaking you did if there are any. As I had said, make sure you read through the whole thing until the very end. You should take note of terms that you don't know and search them online later, such as these abbreviations. You can easily search for them online and even find tutorials on YouTube. Such as this one. It says magic circle. Magic circle is a term for the technique used to make round projects. I will show you later how. The important thing is to not be intimidated and work through it slowly, row by row or round by round. And if ever you have made mistakes, you can always unravel your project and start again. No worries about that.
And that ends, and we still have 10 minutes on the video. But if we can start the Q&A now if you have questions and answers, and I would just like to show you the finished product. So cute. And this is almost exactly one cone. This is 98 grams, 100 grams, so very sulit. So cute.
So cute. Oh my god. You're cute. I just wanted to say it's so exciting to finally like see you, because I've been like a fan, especially for cotton drops.
Oh,
The
yes.
yarn that you make. Yeah, and it's just nice to see the face behind the Attic Yarn and Craftery. So yes, if anyone has questions for Ceryl, just let us know. Oh, there, someone sent a direct message to me. They were wondering what the difference is between Philippine cotton yarns versus polyester blended ones. If you are like, or if Noreen can answer that also.
If they're referring to the polycotton yarn, like the ones from Baguio, they're not really local actually. It's from China, then we import it, then it's, I think yung bagsakan is either, it's not Baguio. Baguio is like the second destination, and that's where they sell it. So it's called Baguio yarn. So there's the Lanolin, Indofil, polycotton, those stuff are actually from China, but they're sold locally, so they're called Baguio yarns.
Yeah, can I just say something regarding in the field? Pala, they have a spinning facility here. They do the production here in Bulacan. So it's a mix, but the cotton is imported from the US and the polyester, I guess, somewhere else. So they blend it into a 60-40 or 70-30 na ratio. Just to let you know, because I know them. Sorry.
It's okay po.
But it's done here, believe it or not. The others are definitely imported. Yeah.
From
Yeah.
that's because when we went to
Yeah.
Baguio po kasi to talk to the sellers there, we used to resell po kasi yung mga Baguio yarns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they told us that they get it from China, so they get it by batch, kaya yung dyes are not the same per batch, so we
Yeah.
have to
Okay.
buy it in bulk already.
Yeah.
I think that was Lanalon, not Indophil.
Yeah. Indophil actually is owned by an Indian, Filipino Indian, but land of that's locally made, believe it or not. Actually, they're just waiting for cotton actually to be sourced here also, which they used to, but now they're importing it. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add to the conversation, actually, this is why I love really chatting with you guys, the crocheters, because we get feedback a lot. I'm just starting out to be like a crafter, but I'm very new to this. It's so ironic, no? But that's also the reason why I love doing this Panublix work, because I get to learn so much. And I think also to answer the questions, because I understand there's so many kinds of yarns, no, but we're also working with the limitation of the yarn facility. But yun nga, like we're actually direct messaging din with Sir Mike na we can find ways nga to collaborate and to make sure we match the standards, because kami din, as we're part of the private sector and working closely with UST, it's also kind of our Sir Mike, no, our ambag to make sure we can also close the gaps for the market and really deliver what the customer needs. Yeah.
We're here to help, really. As I said, I want the more value added processing here done here in the Philippines. And that's my battle cry.
I saw someone on the chat, Miss Louise, ask about fine cotton yarns. As far as I know, fine cotton yarns are also from China, since it's bought from Baguio usually. Then they buy it in large industrial cones, and then the sellers just mix it to make the. I think I have one here, but it's hidden away. Yung super colorful na magagandang yarn.
Yeah.
So for yung, as in super duper local that I know are yung yung Canon and Monaco, the mercerized threads and cotton yarns. Those are the ones that I know that have their own factories here, though I'm not sure where they source their cottons.
Mix. They get it partly India, China. So yeah, daming sources. Actually, the US also is supplying cotton here. So especially in the field, they bring in bales.
Yeah, maybe I think there are a lot of crochet artists in the room, no? Like, would you like to parang come off and speak about your experience? I think some of them even did use our yarn also, no?
Someone in the chat is asking Noreen if there are chunky yarns that are locally made, because they like to make amigurumi toys and patterns. So hopefully that would be like locally sourced chunky yarns as well.
Yeah, what's chunky ba? Like, that's the thickness? If it's a certain thickness, yun nga, Sir Mike, no, we're always limited by the current manufacturing capabilities.
It's true.
But hopefully, soon.
That's true.
Yeah, but we right now, as far as I know, because in the partners of the US, our partners in the UST, they don't have the capabilities to create these thick yarns. Even the crochet yarn in itself, like there's a really it's limited, the production, because there's a spinning machine that does the plying, And we only have one machine here in Iloilo. That's why, and I don't know for those who are following our Instagram, that's why we also had that announcement where we had to do a little price increase because the fuel crisis is very real. The current cost of goods that we had, and I don't want to get too business here, but it's real. That's why we also had to increase the cost a bit. But yeah, it's a reality of our economy, right? But we're doing our best. Hopefully soon we can really produce these to the demand of the customers.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future, as part of our innovation, we'll convert them into solar power, the spinning.
Right. Very much needed.
Yeah.
Other questions. Can the yarn be used for embroidery? Medyo, maybe once na labhan po no Miss Noreen, so it would be softer. It could be used for sewing.
Yeah,
and
no,
embroidery.
we actually got inquiries also. But it needs to be also thicker, no? So yun nga. Actually, yun yung meeting ko dapat, Sir Mike, with PTRI because we're getting all these inquiries from all these crafters and every yarn has different standards, right? Yeah, that's true.
Actually, their equipment there in Taguig, they can do the size that you're using for the yarns for your crochet is 20, you said, no? 20?
Yeah, 20.
Okay, they can do 30s actually, as a cotton, which is a bit thinner.
Yeah.
But they can also do thick, size 8 or 10. I'm talking about English count here, NE. I don't know, Ceryl, if you're familiar with those terms. Sa yarn kasi may yarn count, NE, English count yun eh. So what you guys are using is a 20, but it's twisted several times. I think 18, you said. That's it.
Yes, 18 ply.
Yeah.
The RYPIC facility kasi for everyone's appreciation was really set up for the weaving industry.
Right.
Ayun. And that's why bulk of what we do, although I know Panublix got known for crochet because there's such a vibrant community about it, but right now we really want to help the weavers use our tropical yarns. In the Miagao facility alone, we have over almost 10 tons of weaving yarn. And we're going to be shipping that to the weavers, not just here in Iloilo, but we've been shipping actually to the weavers in Cordillera. Some of the weavers in the Lake Cebu community have started using the cotton abaca, for example, for the tinalak weaves. And slowly trying to transition the weaving industry to use the yarn. So yeah, actually for those who are working with weavers, let us know. You can reach out to us because it's really a crucial part of the process because a lot of brands and designers also want to source these textiles, handloom textiles. But for those who are interested to get the crochet, actually Ceryl is our reseller in Manila. And of course, you can also order directly on our website as well. So
I think this is also a question for Ceryl, or like if anyone who's into crochet wants to respond. They were wondering what kind of projects you could do if you use Monaco yarns. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's fingering or lace weight, right? It's
That's
very
lace
thin.
weight.
Yes.
A lot of projects actually, kasi that's the yarn I used when I was starting out crochet. So if you need thicker yarn, you can use more strands for it. So it can be used for a lot of projects, wearables, accessories, house items. Maybe not as big as blankets siguro. Yung that's also used for mga placemats, yung pantakip sa table, table
Doilies.
runner, tablecloth, yes. Yun po. Then, they can also be used for toys. Yung small amigurumi. Yes, exactly. Miss Laurent. Yes, madami po nagagawa. Pwede din siya for wearables. Some people make them into gowns even. Kasi super fine niya. So you can really see the detail and you can make a super lacy project with it. Yeah. And also maganda yung baksak ng Monaco yarn. So kapag may project ka, maganda siya. Maganda yung drape niya.
I also started with Monaco when I was 7. My grandma taught me with that. It's like, you're not gonna learn the easy way. We're gonna start the hardest way.
And then you hook yung metal na small, no?
Yeah, they're really, really small hook. But yeah, there's a lot of colors, yeah, and it's fun to work with. I just like end up with like carpal tunnel right after. There was also someone in the chat who was wondering if combed cotton has a locally made like version, because I was also wondering about that, because if I'm not mistaken, Dapper Dreamer is sourced from India. If I'm not mistaken, I just remember last that that's what was told to me.
For combed cotton, not really sure where they get it, pero alam ko hindi siya locally. Kasi iba yung process ng pag-comb ng cotton. Ang alam kong madami dito sa Philippines is yung mercerized. Iba din yung process ng mercerization. So we have yung Canon and Monaco na mercerized thread. Pero yung comb cotton, other process na po yun ng fiber. And I don't think I've ever heard of a local, as in locally sourced na cotton. Usually po yung mga ganon imported na din from other countries. Not sure lang po where.
There should be, because it's so nice to use cotton, especially because of our climate, because it's more sustainable na and better for the environment when, you know, it like is able to biodegrade in the future, because we don't want things to stay here for a long time. And yeah, at least it's fresco. Best way to describe it. There's also another person here in the chat who's asking Ceryl if there are other ideas that can be like shared with for how to like use your cotton drop yarn line. Like she wants to know because she's limited right now to home decor, posters.
Hi po, Miss Belle. Yes, she's our customer. I remember her name. And then for cotton drops, it's one of our most versatile yarn. Except for maybe, but okay din siya for swimwear as long as you make it tight and add the lining, because it's absorbent. So kapag nag-swimming ka, bibigat siya. And then for big projects also, it's a bit tricky to use because it's heavy. So kung weighted blanket yung gusto mo, that's also a good project for it. And then I think, she bought a dozen cones of Panublix. For other projects po, home decors, you can also make bags. I made a bag, but I don't have it. I made it for a gift. Then also accessories like yung like this hat. And also I've seen projects online na nakatag kay Panublix na they made dresses, tops with it. Yun po. Since from the start it's a bit scratchy since it's cotton. So it would feel much better after you wash it. Like after you hand wash it. Dapat pala I brought the hand wash project one. And then oh yes, press ko po yung cotton.
There's someone asking about the dyeing of hand-dyed yarns. If
Yes.
dye sticks daw or pumupupas daw siya.
Yes, because it's hand dyed then. Not really that much if it's properly dyed. It's the same as your machine dyed wear, like yung mga black na shirt after lang months it becomes a bit gray, and it's the same with dark blue, especially in dark blue color, the indigo, it bleeds a lot. Yung indigo and purple color, it bleeds a lot. Pero usually they only bleed during the first or second washes, then that's fine na po. It's not the same quality as yung machine dyed na yarn or fabric na parang yung mga t-shirts ganyan. Pero it won't fade away that fast kasi properly dyed naman po yung yarn niya. Then Panublix the same yarn weight as cotton drops? Yes po, it's number 3 DK or lightweight. But it's on the thinner side, so medyo nasa number 2 sport weight na siya, but it's considered number 3 from the how do you say this, yung wraps per inch. We measured it using the wraps per inch, and pasok po siya sa number 3 DK or lightweight na thickness.
Some more questions in the chat.
Oh, here.
I think it's
Without the cone. Oh, yeah. Oo
Yeah,
nga.
I can probably take that question. No? So actually, yes, it can. It's just that we need to like hand spin. What's that term again, Sir Mike, when you get it out of the cone? Because we work with
Winding.
yeah.
The winding.
Unwinding. Yeah, unwinding. Yeah, it's because the RYPIC facility has already preset na naka-cone siya. But here's the thing. Actually, we're starting this, we want to start this campaign where, like if kung marami kayong cones, we can find a way to, you can ship that back to us. And it's, part of the circular economy principles, because it also costs us to buy more cones. So I don't know, we're gonna launch that very soon, but it's also something we're thinking about actually. But yeah, currently kasi the facility, talagang yung machine, if you look at the machine, if you remember the slides of what Sir Mike showed, kailangan talaga may cone yan. But what we can do, we can unwind it, but it's gonna be more expensive because we have to pay the artisan who does the unwinding of it. And just to share, yeah, it's such a tedious process. Just to share, we actually tested already with the dyes, but yun nga, we already tried to work with natural dyes. But yun nga, for those who have been using natural dyes, diba, it's really not so stable. But that's also part of the charm of it, right? But just, teaser, ika nga ni Ali, we are really working with an artisan partner in a clan. So maybe the weavers in the group, you might have heard of him. This is Carlo Eliserio and his mom Raquel Eliserio. He's also very active in the weaving space. Carlo is younger than me, so he's in his 20s, diba? But he's really like, that's the hope of the weaving industry. But Carlo actually did an order for us. This is with, and I think I can mention it's a Damgo Studio, if you're familiar, for those who are following her. Jessica from Cebu. If you go to her account, she just posted this picture of 3 hanks of yarn dyed in blue, orange, and green. So we use, or Carlo used we call it achwete for the orange. And for the green and the blue, so this is where it got tricky. Kailangan a little bit of mixture sa reactive dye. So reactive is the chemical dye, right? Because if you just use purely natural dye, it doesn't give out that brightness. So it looks good, right? If it's very colorful. But kasi if you use the reactive dyes, it's also especially those who have the toxic chemicals. So that is actually what we are working towards na developing. So this is our R&D project. Di naman secret project because we also pitch this. And this is where the science comes in. We actually have a scientist in the team kasi it's really chemistry actually. So for those who don't like chemistry, apparently we have to review it again. It's the basics of organic chemistry, right? If it's acidic, you get these reds. If it's basic, you get these purples. It's actually fun because it's like creating the recipe, but we kind of want to make sure na, if you want this certain shade of indigo, this certain shade of blue, we know exactly like how much grams should be placed in it, what's the temperature. So we kind of are doing these little experiments. This is a partnership with the LS areas of Aklan. Actually, Aklan is it's 4 hours away from Iloilo. So we're working with the suppliers here in this space. So just so you know, that's what's happening. So that's why we're not yet making the dyes available for market, because we do want to make sure it's more consistent. But yeah, actually, Sir Mike and I have been chatting na we can also collaborate with, because we did actually, Sir Mike, an order using the reactive dyes. We actually do a lot of B2B orders as well. Mm-hmm. So we had cotton pineapple textiles dyed in blue. And that was for a big government order we also made. So yeah, we know colors is super important, no? But yun nga, if we really are also mindful that we shouldn't also do it at the expense of nature. Particularly because we're also working with artisans who live in coastal communities. And if the colors have toxic chemicals, it's gonna drain into the rivers, and that's what they use for drinking, right? So this is really how we want to think holistically about it. So ayaw namin to launch something na, yes, this is what the customer needs, but the artisans will suffer because it's not good for the environment and their health as well. So as much as possible, we want to go natural. But that's why the innovation comes in. Kasi, if you go to places like Japan and even in Europe, they're already making a lot of material science innovations on how to make the dyes more stable. And yeah, so actually that's why we've been calling out also for those interested in the science behind it. There's actually a lot of interesting R&D you can do with natural dyes. So yeah, that's what I can share.
Hello. So I might have to turn over my hosting gig to Ali because I have to leave for my cousin's confirmation. So this is just like a very last minute thing. I'm so sorry, but I just wanted to say bye to everyone and thank you for joining. Well, it's not even over, but I have to go. I'm so sorry. So yeah, this is Ali. She
Thank you, Mela.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hosting for us.
Thank you.
For having me.
Yeah, did a good job in hosting. Very insightful naman yung comments mo. So
okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
So I guess that was Mela. She's at Reclamare.ph on Instagram. So you can follow her and then check out all her works. She's very active in the crochet community, and we're very thankful to have her here with us today. I guess a question that has been going on through my mind, like how would creative definitions and Panublix, and I guess si Ceryl then, define what is like sustainability, because we've heard it through the whole thing, and I don't think there's a set industry definition on like what sustainability is. So do you think this is something important, something that's definitely needed to be checked out by the Philippines? So I guess yun.
Who's gonna answer first?
Sir Mike, ikaw muna.
Madagong question yan eh. Because okay, let me start now. When we speak about sustainability, you know, it's not only because of the material that it's made, whether it's recycled or upcycled. You know, if it's just a material, you're just talking only a very small percentage of the whole picture. Because if you're looking at the UN sustainability goals, there are four main aspects that we have to look into. Number one is of course, the human rights, the rights of the people that are behind let's say whatever product that makes that. No. Then number two, you have to talk about labor standards. And number three is, of course, the environmental concerns. So we speak about green technology, whether it's for recycling or using natural-based fiber. And daming factors. No? But the whole idea there, of course, is things become sustainable when of course there's less damage done, not only in the environment but also in society as a whole. Kasi okay, you may be producing a very good recycled product, but if your workers are not being paid well or being it utilizes slave labor, then for me that's not sustainable. So, you know, if you look at it, there are so many elements involved, and what is more important is the social economic impact that in fact political pa nga eh, kasi one of the sustainability goals plan ng UN is anti-corruption. So if your business, even though it's producing a very good sustainable product in terms of it being green, but if you're supporting, let's say, an agency or another company that abuses its workers, that's not sustainable anymore if you look at it in that criterion. So you have to look at it in and let's be mindful also that everything that you know, especially companies right now in Europe, they're demanding certification. Are you compliant? Sustainable? Are you sustainably compliant on certain? Okay, we have to be mindful also that, you know, Europe already went through that period of polluting the planet way back in the 1800s up to the Industrial Revolution. And right now, all of a sudden, they come up with all the certifications. Switzerland, for example, Ecotech and everything from Cradle to Cradle to Better Cotton Initiative, they're the ones coming up with all the certifications to limit the market for just a few players. And for me, there's something wrong there. So we just have to be mindful on those things. They talk about slave labor or child labor, but you know, especially the first world countries, they're attacking a lot of the Asian countries who use their kids in work. But if you go to a clan, kids are part of the whole commerce of a company. You know, when they do business, like the clan weavers who use the piña, it's very natural for their children to help out in the knotting. But that's not slave labor. That's not child labor. So you know, you have to be mindful on the context. And for me, a lot of the certifications, and you know, I hate to say it, but it's a racket by many of these companies. But again, unfortunately, to do business with that first world country sometimes require the certifications. So we just have to be mindful. For me, I mean, if you ask me, I'll do my part starting with my processes. That means eliminating or minimize at least the waste, adopt green technologies little by little. So I mentioned earlier that machine extract pineapple fibers is already solar powered. That's already the first step. But in the spinning, of course, we still need to use power. I mean, whether it's coal power or from the grid. So that's still in a way not yet 100% sustainable, but there's no other choice. And of course, let's not forget also that the concept, sometimes when you adopt this green technology, it makes it a very, very, very expensive also. And it might not be viable in the long term. In fact, a lot of companies who have adopted certain technology also failed because it's too expensive. And now that the prices of things are going up, it has become so. So it has there are barriers, we have to consider. So that's my sustainability. If you look at me in one word, it should work out the whole ecosystem in terms of the labor, treating your workers well, the artisans, the communities. At the same time, be mindful of the environment. And important also, we have to learn a social enterprise or any business for that matter should earn a bit reasonable profit. Because if not, how can you progress, expand, or get big if you're not profitable? So it's a balance of economy, of the environment, ethics, a lot of things. So for me, that's how I would put it. And everyone talks about circularity. That's just a target. It's a desired outcome to be circular, no. But I trust me, a lot of the technologies there is also not sustainable in the long term until you reach a certain level of maturity inside. So yeah, there's a balance of a lot of things. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sir Mike. That was actually really insightful. I guess maybe Ceryl or Noreen, maybe they have some take on what sustainability is.
Yeah, no. So I shared in the chat that, well, the UN definition of sustainability. So it says meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So I think this is, it seems so very highfalutin, but for those who have kids and nieces and nephews, it's basically, like the way we live our lifestyle. Are we, consuming resources fast? Now, when our kids and grandkids or the next generation, and not just like the next generation after us, but like 7 generations after us, will they even have, clean water and enjoy, what we're enjoying now? As we speak, we're in a climate crisis, right? And I said nga na it's not theoretical for us. Sea level rise is always an issue. There are a lot of areas here in Iloilo na hindi binabaha, pero ngayon with the recent typhoons, binabaha na. Because, like sea level rise is really an issue. But, there are always all these, it tends to get very overwhelming, right? When you talk about sustainability. And that's why for us also in Panublix, I think also because we can only control how we operate. But it also starts with the mindset. I know they say that a lot. But I also wanted to share, if I can just share my screen, because we also follow the sustainable fashion, the sustainable fashion news. So this is from the Sustainable Fashion Forum. And basically, this is what they said, the 6 themes that will shape sustainable fashion. So circular thinking is one. And if you really read up on circular thinking, it basically has 3 principles. So I'll share the link in the chat. But the 3 principles is eliminate, regenerate, and circulate. So eliminate waste. And I think there was an our podcast. I said the best way to prevent waste from flooding the oceans is to eliminate the use of it in the first place. So like, zero waste lifestyle, being conscious. And I do this also in our Panublix team. We sometimes do check-ins. Oh, what's your sustainable thing for this week? So some say na, when they try to do takeouts in the Grab or in the Food Pandas, they try to look for restaurants that don't have disposable, like biodegradable packaging. Yun. And then, or they try to minimize taking out in the first place. And if they do, they bring their reusables, diba? So, yun. Circulate is, to make sure that, that's why like when we say na, if you have a lot of cones with you, you don't need to throw it away. You could ship it back to us. We'll find a way to pick it up. But we need to offset lang the carbon footprint when we pick it up, para it doesn't go to the landfill. So you try to circulate it so it doesn't go to the landfill. And then regenerate. Regenerate is, and this is really where the agriculture part comes in, right? There is a principle na waste is equal to food. So actually, I'm so aligned with what Creative Definitions and Lakat Sustainables is doing, from farm to fabric to shoes to the market. So it's like from farm to fashion. Because especially, this advocacy we have with the tropical textiles, tropical yarns, tropical fabrics, this is the purpose of this event, is at the end of the day, promoting this tropical fabric will also help our farmers. Actually, it will definitely help our farmers. And if there's anything I've learned talking to all these, or hearing all these webinars on the economy, the agriculture sector was the only sector that grew during the COVID pandemic, diba? And it's basically, there's something I've been learning also na the health of the soil is very crucial, right? So anyway, that's a whole topic altogether, but there's that connection between the farms, the fibers, and what we wear. And that's why you also have these principles on next generation materials. So there's a lot of room for material science innovations. As a matter of fact, like the big fashion brands, they're investing a lot in material science. And guess what? The Philippines actually has a lot of scientific talent. I'm a graduate of a science school. So I know that my classmates who are taking PhDs all over the world, they actually want to come back and, contribute to this sustainability movement. But, I think if I may just focus on one, and by the way, we're also working a lot. If there's anything here that Panublix is really working on, it's the supply chain side. So it's the equitable and transparent supply chain. But this is what I shared in the huddle with my team last Wednesday, because every Wednesday we have a huddle. The biggest challenge for me here is actually this one, the degrowth mindset. Kasi this is kind of like the call for consumers. Kasi unfortunately, and we're in the tech startup space also, we're playing in e-commerce. And e-commerce is basically designed to get you to add to cart all the time. Buy. And that's like the opposite of degrowth, like just buying more, making sure you're always in the right trends. But after you wear it, after you post it on TikTok or Instagram, you're gonna throw it away na. So it's something like, it's a call for all of us, I think, me also as a consumer. But it's a challenge, and I know it's not something that everyone can do, but I think the more people who could do these actions, I think will lead to sustainability. No? So yeah, thank you, Ali, for sharing. We are actually hiring. We're actually calling for more, what we call them, sourcing curators. So this is a very unique role na sila yung sila yung nagko-connect ng artisans ng communities sa mga designers and creatives. Because the real business of Panublix is really in digital sourcing. So like we have designers abroad who want to source from weavers, and because they don't have that direct access, but we do. So we take care of that coordination for them. But we do have a technology there That's what the tech part is. You know, it's a supply chain technology thing. But yung hindi namin, we cannot replace the face-to-face relationship needed when you work with artisan enterprises. And that's what we need actually. So we're here in Iloilo. We need a lot of sourcing creators for our weavers. But as I said, we're also going to Isabela. We also would need sourcing creators there to tap the weavers of Isabela, because that's where the next RYPIC will be, by the way. So we're trying to also set up the weavers there to use the RYPIC yarns if it will be it will be made available. So actually there's a lot of roles to play in sustainability. But I guess like for more people to be aware of it is the challenge, and not just to be aware but to actually do something about it. And I think it doesn't have to be super highfalutin. It can be just even with our own lifestyles, right? So that's what I can share.
Thanks so much, Noreen. I guess I'm wondering for like Ceryl, like you as a crafter, as a hobbyist, like how would you apply like sustainability into like your business or into like your works, and like do you think it's important or something like that?
Well, yes, especially now na madaming mga dumadami yung mga conscious na people about the environment and stuff like that. So, for me personally, sa Attic Yarn and Craftery, we try as much as we can to reduce our carbon footprint. So, from our, we can if people request their yarns with no labels, we can do that. We can reduce our paper waste, and then we ship items using biodegradable we pack our items using biodegradable ziplocs, which they can reuse and reuse for their projects and for their other stuff. And then I think the only thing that we need, we also use the honeycomb paper. It's like the paper version of bubble wrap. That's one of our small ways of reducing our carbon footprint. Also, we I think our biggest problem now is not biggest problem, but it's the courier pouches. There are a ton of them. Oh my gosh. Courier pouches, and where I'm actually a lot of them are biodegradable now, but still people are throwing them away. So we're thinking of reusing them, like repurposing them, like turning them inside out and using it to ship other items. If the customer is okay with that, of course.
Yeah, so I guess like it really just spans on through like what do you call this, from like producers until like the consumers. You really got to think about like the journey of the whole product. So from how it's made, how it's packed, how it's used, and then what's gonna happen after it's being used. So I guess that's like, for me, I've always been, what do you call this, conscious or meticulous on like someone sustainable, but I want to know how, and could this be applied into like my own life or into like my own brand. So for me, like I'm actually aspiring natural dyer. So things that I do consider into like my process would be, well, natural dyeing. I'm gonna definitely use some, what do you call this, rose petals or wood or anything. So I'm thinking, is this material, can they be composted after? And another thing that I do consider is, where does the water go? So when kapag dinump ko siya sa plumbing or sa water stream, what's gonna happen after? So is it gonna contaminate yung sewage system namin? Or the plants around the water stream gonna wither and die, because obviously that's not something I want to contribute in. So I guess that's small things for me as a maker, like I want to consider when I'm going into like sustainability. Because honestly, for me, I don't think I can honestly say that I am a sustainable brand, but because there's a lot of things to consider and steps um before I could fully and proudly say that I am a sustainable brand. So there we go. Um, I guess I would like to call on like Noreen to maybe like close this session.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. No, so Ali is really the dynamic secretariat and the coordinator of the Philippine Fashion Coalition. I don't know, Ali, maybe you would like to share about Philippine Fashion Coalition first. Like, what is there anything in store also that the people can look forward to for PFC?
For PFC, okay, the Philippine Fashion Coalition is actually a business support organization for the Philippine fashion and textile industry. We cover a huge range of what do you call this sectors? So we have the design sectors that covers like the couturiers, mga retailers. We have mga accessories and footwear designers over there. And then we do have another sector which is called the creative services sector. So yun yung mga events people, mga pageant, photographers, events managers, stylists, models. So they're covered in that sector. The sector that Noreen and Sir Mike are part in, it's called TAC, which is basically textile arts and crafts sector. So for us, this is actually the most important sector because we actually believe that the textile arts and crafts sector is the backbone of the Philippine fashion and textile industry, mainly because it covers most of the culture and the heritage. So we're here trying to preserve, protect our culture and heritage. And finally, of course, this is like one of the most important sectors, the education sector. So lahat ng mga fashion schools, we're connected from like Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao for like what are their initiatives or what can we do to help the different fashion schools promote our industry. So if you want, you can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook to keep yourselves updated on like what are the different initiatives that we do as a coalition. So yeah.
And how can they join, Ali? Althea is asking, if you're a budding fashion stylist, can they possibly join the PFC?
Sure, I'll drop down my email below and then I can give you like the membership links. So currently we're not getting any membership fees. So it's very best to like join. So and then if you want to be involved with like different committees, we're like Noreen said, I'm part of the policy committee. So we're trying to have like different initiatives under like intellectual properties and the advancement of the RA 9242 law. So yeah.
Yan. Yeah, so we got in touch with PFC actually COVID days talaga, 2020. And it was the first time for me to be invited into a Zoom meeting with congressmen and women. And it's interesting how there are so many. The COVID-19 pandemic also in a way banded together everyone in the industry. So yeah, please check out PFC. And yun nga, this event that we're doing is to promote the tropical fabrics and tropical yarns, which is core to how we can revive our entire, not just the fashion industry, not just the textile industry, but even like the artisans, the weavers, and even the farmers, the fiber farmers. So I also wanted to share, so si Ferdinand also shared his page. So I also wanted to share screen it. This is his page. Actually, Ferds, would you want to unmute and share about how you used our yarn for this, if you're able to unmute? But this is his page. He used our Panublix yarn, and actually, yeah, we've been seeing so many of these. No, we also have this. We also have her name on Instagram is Morning Hooker. She's actually been, I think every weekend she uses our yarn for her projects, and just kanina she tagged us again in some hats and some really wonderful things. Kaya partly that's the reason also why I want to do Panublix, because I just also want to purchase these things. Like, I'm not a designer, but I love to work with designers like Mela, like even Ceryl and Sir Mike, and the
Yeah.
brands. You know, to really convert our materials to
Yeah.
wearables that also suits our lifestyle, right? So, yes,
Yeah.
Sir Mike, you want to share?
Yeah, I'm thinking kasi we're inviting some of the crochet artists and hobby. We're gonna have a fair this coming October. So maybe we can prepare something for
Yeah,
them.
definitely.
So you can
Okay.
sell, you can sell. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the Hobby Philippine Textile Council, which I'm part of. So it's really the mandate there is to revitalize the weaving industry. And weaving, let's not forget, not only includes the loom weaving, but also crochet. I mean, it's part of the one of the arts. So I'll get back to you on that because I want to invite
Yeah,
several,
definitely.
or at least come up with a table just for your group.
Okay.
I'll mention it to the board.
So maybe if any crocheter or any crafter is interested in that,
Yeah,
just contact me. My email's in the
yeah.
in the chat, and I'll definitely forward you to Sir Mike.
I'll
So
update you guys. And well, PFC is planning also the Philippine Fashion Fair, right?
yes,
That's
yeah.
still it's
So
still
there's a lot of things in plan.
that's still on the work. So we'll let you know also. But Hobby will go on October.
Okay, I think I know we said we're gonna be until 5, no? But are there any other questions?
Yes.
I think we have still a lot of time for questions, if there are burning questions. Is there anyone? If you're still waiting to have to think of questions, you can type in the chat, no? But I just wanted to share, thank you for those who pre-ordered our Likha Kit. We are actually preparing the orders about to be shipped. So this is how it looks like. So the Panublix Likha Kit, it will come actually in a pouch. So this pouch is actually hand woven, made from the Philippine cotton. We have 2 weaving enterprises working on this, and it was sewn by garment makers also in Iloilo. And Sir Mike, do you remember this? This is actually a retazo from the blue cotton pinya.
I was checking
Yeah.
who made it.
Yeah, so we, as I mentioned, we had an order, for a government order, and we procured cotton pinya. And this is part of our, way to make sure we circulate our materials. So we have a lot of retazo.
Yeah.
So it became the string to our pouch.
We have
So
black
at least,
now. We have black now. We have color black coming in too.
right.
Anyway.
So yeah, so we have this you can, I'll share the link so you can pre-order it. We'll be starting to ship some by next week. I also wanted to share, we have also a pop-up happening in SM Mega Mall on May 20 to 21. This is with the Philippine Australia Friendship Day, because we're also part of some programs with the Australia Embassy. So you're all welcome to attend. Just watch out in our socials. We'll send you the invitation. Does Hobby Thou have a membership fee, Sir Mike?
You can become a member, 1,000 a year. So you just I can forward you or go to their website. They're also in Instagram, by the way.
Yun. So yung size, I believe, this is the hook is from Ceryl. It was 3.5, no?
Yes, it's 3.5.
Yeah.
And then someone was asking how long the yarn is. It's approximately 100 90 meters per cone po. And it's 100
yeah.
grams enough per project even.
Yeah, ayun. So, yeah, well, and yun nga, if you want to buy just the crochet as well, you can actually contact Ceryl. She still has a lot of stocks, especially for those in Manila. But for those who are not in Manila, you can also buy directly from our site, panublix.com. Yeah, the hat is really good. And then, yun nga, we also created this Facebook group, no? So, this is the Philippine Tropical Fabrics and Yarns community. So thank you for those who've already joined. We just set it up today just for the, oops, someone's messaging me about the reselling. We also set it up today just for the craft jam, but we also want to continue the conversations. No? And for those who weren't able to attend, this is also our way so that we can make sure that they don't miss out on the conversation, because I think the more creatives who are not made aware about our Philippine tropical fabrics and yarns, we can really uplift the industry also, no? So yeah. All right.
Looks good.
Okay, any other questions? Burning questions? If not, we will need to do, do you plan to sell your collar retazos as well? They're interesting. Sir Mike, do you have?
What retazo? The hand-woven retazos or?
I think the hand-woven retazos, no?
Well, yeah, that can be discussed. Yeah, dami yan.
For you, Sir Mike, what are the perks on being a member of like PFC or HABI?
Well, let me begin with HABI because I was there, been there for quite some time. Ang focus kasi namin is education. Education, the sole purpose of revitalizing the weaving industry. So if you notice in HABI, I don't know if you heard about it, we do publications. We have several books already on weaving, from the history to even the techniques. No? You'll see it on the website. You can buy that. And the whole idea there to be exposed. Actually, remember 2017, I mentioned in my talk that that was one of the milestones that I partnered with some weaving communities. Well, if you ask me, it's because of HABI. My exposure to HABI actually opened my eyes to help out these communities. So that for me is one. And then yearly, we have these yearly trips going around the country. We also assisted several communities in, especially during the last typhoon at depth, they donated some money for Kabangkalan. We do fundraising, but our number one activity is that Likang Hobby Fair every October, wherein we invite weaving communities or owners of the weaving brand. Well, it becomes like a venue for entrepreneurship because we want to expose the weavers to, well, to how to run a business. So it's a good training ground, and also for networking. A lot of our weavers got to, well, you're familiar with Filipina, right? With Len Kabili. She started with us, and she said that she learned the first years of her business actually was with hobby. Our exposure in hobby. Now PFC right now is very recent. Actually, it came about because of the congressional hearings we had although it's been existing already by the time, but it became really active when Congressman Toff de Venecia was sponsoring the Creative Industries Bill, and basically a lot of members of either the existing members of PFC and the new ones basically helped him craft the whole thing. So in the congressional meetings, of course, we were some of the guest speakers came from us and to support the bill. And first time I've seen a hearing that would last for 8 hours from 1 o'clock until 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and that happened 3 times or 4 times.
Four times.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope naman it did something. Yeah. You're cutting off, Ali. So one of PFC's main tasks is lobbying on
I guess
policy.
like one of the perks.
Yeah. So one of the perks is networking. Right now, for example, I'm organizing a meeting with the Islamic Fashion Design Council this coming Tuesday. Ali, about this Tuesday, maybe you want to join, Noreen? Send Noreen the link. So it's more on how to connect with the Dubai people on fashion. So a lot of it's got to do with that. We're also into lobbying or doing policy work to help out, let's say, this thing with the Philippine tropical fabrics, the RA 9242. We're trying to come up with a white paper so it will be supported more by the government. So may lobbying din. We have a lobbying capability,
And
among others. Yeah.
when I first came in, we also had like different upskilling workshops. One of them was the business of fashion under in partnership actually with the Design Center of Philippines. So there we were educated from like branding to like sourcing and to also costing. So for back then I was just really parang fresh graduate pa ako nun. So it was something that was really helpful for me. So you would have access to different seminars such as that. And of course, being part of the conversations like on intellectual property or here with RA 92. So you'll definitely get to learn about the different things within the Philippine fashion and textile industry. So I guess that's one of the perks of being a member. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's really to unite the players, the stakeholders in the industry, from the manufacturers to the designers to the support groups. It's fun. Yeah, the schools also, we're helping them. That was one of our advocacy, was to have a separate course on fashion design, rather it being part of a course. So now I think I think DepEd somehow listened to make it a standalone, separate course in college. Yeah.
On that note, I think there is a new course in ISATU that maybe Noreen would like to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. Something on textiles, right?
Yeah, so we're also part of the Iloilo Science and Technology University, or ISATU, and they are coming up with a PS in Tropical Textile Technology. So it's still in the curriculum review. We're helping also with the curriculum design. But that's interesting because, actually it's a lot, as we mentioned, it's a lot of science, technology, R&D. So we need engineers also and chemists. ISATU is also known to be an engineering school. So there's a new course that's being developed, and hopefully it will be launched soon. Yeah.
There's one question. Would you say the support and exposure of local textiles is better now compared to before? I've been observing na parang there's a lot of brands and designs popping up using local motifs and textiles.
You want to take that, Sir Mike? You've been in this space more.
Definitely better now, especially the past 10 years. Well, if you ask me, the year 2008, 2010, somehow the weaving industry in the Philippines, when I speak about the weaving, I'm talking about the handloom weaving communities, etc. It actually underwent a renaissance. Okay, I mean, there was a revival, higher sense of awareness, and it's been brought about also by several designers who, of course, expose our textiles abroad. You hear about Miss Universe already using it. So yeah, there were several key people who were behind that, and Filipina is one of them, I must say, and plus the other brands. So yeah, and in addition to that, 2008, the past 10 years also, there was more government support. If you hear about, well, right now PTRI is already involved. Before hindi masyado yan but now it's also PTRI, even DTI right now, so active in in promoting the local textiles. And believe it or not, even the Department of Agriculture, because of course the raw material supplies come from them, but now they're also supporting in the processing of the fibers. So a lot of government agencies have somehow gotten their acts together to put things into order, but kulang pa. If you ask me, it needs more funding, more research, and and I think a mandate from the government for their employees to wear the Philippine textile fabric, I think should be the next step. But yes, the past 10 years, definitely, there has been a great increase. Although in the 70s, I was reviewing our history, Pitoy Moreno and several other designers were already using our fabrics, even Patis Tesoro. So they were the pioneers, and but it's just now that there's a bit more of the revival because of social media and the marketing, which is good. I mean, it's just a matter of time that more Filipinos hopefully will wear the locally made fabrics and textiles. And I guess you're part of that. Help us spread the word around, and that's part of your mission. Those who are listening here, because we have a long history on textiles, even predating the Spanish period.
Yeah, we're gonna launch. It's a secret project of ours, but we've been actually getting orders for wearables using the tropical fabric. Kaya busy yung natin, yung weavers natin diri, Sir Mike. So we're regularly already ordering. I think it was also because we just finished a government order also for their polo. And we slowly more government officials, which is basically the mandate of the Republic Act for the Philippine Tropical Fabrics Law, that government agencies use the uniform. So ESATU, the university that we're part of it because we are a startup incubating in their business incubator. So they're also trying to make sure that at least one day all faculty and staff, and there are 5 campuses, so they're like 200 faculty and staff in the university alone to wear the tropical fabric uniform. So that alone is such a big help to the industry. And if we have more institutions, and eventually it's gonna go to the direct to consumer, we're just making sure that the production is stable, we can deliver at good quality also. So stay tuned for that, it's in the works. Yeah, Ali, any more questions? Oh, so I think there's also a question.
So for events like on modernizing traditional clothing, will there be more shows and activities like this? Under PFC, we're definitely trying to craft more shows and events, especially with restrictions lowering, but on modernizing, I guess it's worth checking out also SOFA's upcoming course. It's called Filipino branding. So I guess it's more onto how do you define Filipino, what is a Filipino brand? Does it mean that you're Filipino only if you use a certain textile, or does it mean you're only Filipino if you use red, blue, yellow? Filipino ka na ba? Dun lang. But if you deviate from it, hindi ka na ba Filipino? So I guess it's a course really worth checking out. So these it'll be taught by what do you call this? Very experts in this industry. So those people who have been here a long time and who are calling themselves a Filipino brand without they're still trying to recraft on what the Filipino brand identity is. So maybe you guys wanna check that out. So yeah, our shots.
All right, Ceryl, any insights about this? Maybe it's your first time also hearing na ito din pala yung mga ginagawa namin sa Panublix. So, what do you think about it?
We're very, very interested po sa mga yung if you come up with other mixes like cotton abaka yarn naman next time.
Noreen, di ba marami
Then-
kayong abaka? Abaka.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we'll work on it. We're working on it. But yun nga, I also chatted it nga na parang it really is when you even with the weave, it's very rough, the Sir Mike. So
Yeah,
you're actually yeah.
It's the world's
Yung-
toughest fiber. It's the world's
Yung
toughest
mga
fiber.
yung mga weavers namin, they even got bruised
Yeah.
because of the fiber. But
Okay.
it's a technique thing actually. Yeah.
The key there is how to soften it because let's face it, abaka is the world's strongest fiber, and it's endemic here in the Philippines, and that's why we should be proud of that. And that's why it also saddens me that Bangko Sentral, they're little by little they're going to replace our bills, which is made out of 20% abaka into polymers. I don't know if you're aware of that. Yun lang. In fact, I made a presentation before 2 weeks ago into Central Bank. I think I met Bruce. What's his name? Bruce. One of the monetary board members, Bruce Tolentino, and they're already pushing for polymers. Yun. Sad.
Yeah.
Yun lang masabi ko. But yeah.
Yeah, we definitely should be proud of our
Abaka,
fibers.
abaka has been inherently, and it's a Filipino identity.
Well, we'll definitely look forward to like innovations on yarns, and I'm pretty sure Ceryl will have a front seat on that, like with the different Panublix yarns innovations. So I guess if there's no more questions, maybe we can call on Nicole to take a group photo if that's all right with everyone.
Sure.
Yay. Hi, Nicole. Nicole is part of our Panublix team. Are you ready to do a photo? May we request everyone to turn their cams on if they're able to, so we can do a group photo. It would be nice to see everyone's faces. Ayan. Happy to see everyone. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. And yeah. Hi, Ria. Do you want to say anything to the group? Ria is also part of Panublix. So actually, if you want to do a physical craft jam, Ria is also hosting one with the US Embassy in June naman. No? So we have a lot of events lined up actually, so we can engage more creatives to support tropical yarns and fabrics. So yeah, I think we're getting a few faces in. Nicole, do you want to start with the first panel?
We have 2 pages. So, okay, taking a photo of the first one. 1, 2, 3. Next page. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And again, let's keep our conversations in the Facebook group and continue supporting tropical fabrics and yarns. And as we say here in Iloilo, madamo gid nga salamat, kag padayon.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.